The world heard about this. You heard about this. It has been the vision of Michael, who runs Riot Fest, to bring some members of Pussy Riot to Riot Fest. This year, he succeeded. And so today, we have Nadya and Masha from Pussy Riot. We have Tim, vocalist of Rise Against. We have Greg from Bad Religion. And a woman named Marcel from Bust Magazine. And I am the humble moderator, hopefully keeping the conversation going bravely along for the time we have together. So if everyone's ready, let's bring them onto the stage. And the sentiment, punk rock changed my life, is at some point a bit generic, but it is true for many people. I am a testament to that. In my humble opinion, one of the greatest humanitarian movements of our lifetime. And so what I would like to ask you two is about the impact that punk rock music had on you and what you do in Pussy Riot and what you are doing now with your media group, Media Zona.
Hello guys.
Hi.
Thank you for coming, and it's a pleasure to be here. We are very sorry, but we will talk on Russian, and he is my husband, he will translate.
We started out as contemporary artists and as political activists, but when we wanted to make a really loud statement, and that was when President Putin wanted to become president for the third time, then we moved to punk to make a really loud statement, because that was the only way we thought we could do it.
On the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, I was there in the front row getting my ass kicked, or when Bad Religion would roll through. You know, all of these were artists that exemplified a way to play music that didn't emphasize selling records or tickets, but instead triggering reactions in people's minds. And that's what triggered my reaction and what made me want to be on a stage, and also what made me realize if I ever had the opportunity to be on that stage, I would want to do something different with that microphone than just simply further your own kind of career, but to do something to kind of continue to fly that flag of punk.
And I was with a handful of other girls in the front, moshing and having a great time because punk rock mattered. And when we started Bust Magazine, I'm not there anymore, but when we started, we were fueled by fury and injustice and just this need to tell women that they had a place to go, that they didn't have to listen to what the media was telling them, that we could be ourselves, we had a voice. And so when Nadya and Masha and Pussy Riot came out, how excited was I as a middle-aged mom to see these women continue to carry the torch of injustice, anger, feminism, art, everything.
Not necessarily political music, there's political people who make music. And I think that's what it is.
First of all, I think it's very important to say that obviously lyrics do mean a hell of a lot to us, because for the words in our song we were put to prison. We already felt that punk is not something from the music world anymore. It's more like a genre, it's more like a gesture you can do at your workplace, in the White House, on the street, when you want to do a really bold and powerful statement, when you want to be loud and clear.
Мы создавали на детской площадке под дождем, как сейчас. У нас был только один диктофон в руках и больше ничего.
So when we started, you got to have a translation. So when we formed a punk collective, we didn't really know a lot about music and how to do music and how to write and perform music. So we basically just started listening things that energetically appealed to us more at the time. Those were mainly English oi punk bands like Sham 69 or Angelic Upstarts, like all those bands from early 80s. And for our first song, which we had to, due to various reasons, create in basically a day, we just basically took some tunes from those collectives, and
Like
then we
real punks, we steal this.
yeah, we stole the tunes from them. And the first recording we did actually was done in a very similar setting. It was done on a very rainy Moscow day.
It's not a day, it was night.
It was nighttime. With a very low quality, technical-wise, of your recordings, and without any prior musical education and knowledge, you can utilize all the musical instruments and feelings and emotions you need to appeal to authority in a way that actually will make authority listen and get moved and just feel what you want to say. So this is the musical importance we've always felt about Pussy Riot that we had in the early stage.
You know, a lot of people have been disappointed in the way that my fashion sense hasn't been so good over the years. Now they have a word for it, normcore. I just couldn't afford all the fancy clothes that the punkers wore, but anyway. But I knew that words meant something, and the words had to be the only original aspect. And because of what you said earlier, we are a collective group of accepting individuals. I always felt at home. I didn't care what I looked like, but I cared deeply about what I wrote. And that's something that I hope lives on longer than fashion.
I respect the fact that you do get listened to, and you don't take it for granted. So how does that roll into punk rock, the power of the lyric, and the fact that you do have people who listen to you and take a lot from it?
Punk rock changed my life, you know, and I know it changed a lot of the lives of people out here, people on this panel. And so to me, like, I'm still somebody in the crowd, somebody in the front row watching these bands, and so I know that I have a lot of responsibility. I learned from bands like Greg, you were talking about the different bands you were listening to and being influenced, you know, that kind of thing. And punk has many different subcultures of punk. And for me, it was sort of the things that made Ian MacKaye different than the New York Dolls are the things that I ended up identifying with more of like the Minor Threat kind of style of punk and hardcore. And I felt like there was a way to communicate that, you know, then, which we started our band in like '99, and I wanted Rise Against to be that current manifestation of punk, because punk manifests itself in so many different ways over the decades, you know, which is something that makes punk so amazing. It's constantly gets this like software update, you know, and I think that the latest software update was Pussy Riot. You know, that's where we saw punk in a really meaningful and important endeavor, and in a place where, you know, we were talking earlier about how, you know, we can sing these political songs here in America, and there really won't be a lot of repercussion, if any at all, except for like snarky zines, you know. And so like, but we're not going to end up going to jail for what we do, and which makes it so hard to even compare what we do as singers and writers to what they do, because what they do was so brave and amazing and courageous, and I'm just in awe of it, all of it.
I think it's really important to look at punk rock and to look at words through a feminist lens when you're a woman. As you get older, I'm 50, so I'm feeling the effects of aging and misogyny hitting me every single day. When you're younger, misogyny is hitting you as intensely in a different way. You have to fight against it. If you can write, we all can, you need to use your words to speak up for it. What Pussy Riot did was amazing, because not only were they dealing with Putin, but they were dealing in a society that was completely misogynistic. And to get up there and say God is shit and everything else that they said, like Mike said, required an incredible amount of bravery. When I think back to what we did in the early 90s, where we wrote words on our chest to, you know, to be provocative, we were using those words to reclaim them and to use them against society, use them against misogyny. I think it's very important that we speak up when we see things that don't feel right to us. In any way you can. Whether you do it through social media, or you go to the Times, or you start a zine, you go in your bedroom with your two girlfriends, which is what I did, and you unbeknownst to you, and you go to somebody's corporate office after hours and you use their Xerox machines to make copies. You fuck the man. And then you distribute it. It's fucking awesome.
We left the nest. You know what I mean? Like, we were in this whole world of mainstream rock, and you find that rock is oftentimes very male-dominated, testosterone-driven. You know, that the pits, while they are a lot of fun, can also be kind of aggro at the same time. And so you look for ways to address that. You know, Fugazi had their way of addressing it, which was Ian would just stop the fucking show right there. And you look for ways to recognize who you are, have a little bit of self-awareness of what your band is. I met, we had a fan who would come around to our shows, and she was always in the front row. We got to know her, got to meet her, know her name, that kind of thing. I knew her for a long time before she essentially came out to me. She said, "I'm gay, and I've been afraid to tell you that because I'm not sure how you would feel about that." And it broke my heart. Nothing is implied. You have to get out there and tell your audience where you stand, how you feel. There's veterans of punk rock here on this stage, but we all started somewhere. There needs to be punk rock 101.
You were locked up. I would like to know from the two of you what you were expecting on that day when you went into the church to do that action, what you were expecting and what you were ready for, what you were prepared to have happen. And when what happened did happen, how did that go for you? How prepared were you for incarceration?
We didn't expect it prison.
You weren't expecting incarceration and arrest. What were you expecting?
Они не арестовали нас сразу, они арестовали нас спустя неделю после того, как мы уже провели этот панк-молебен. Соответственно, это была высшая санкция от самого Путина.
Well, first of all, we weren't arrested right away on that day. We were arrested a week later because, well, it took time, you know, for the decision to get to the very top. And when it did get to the very top, well, everyone knew it was Putin's personal decision to get us locked up. Later in court, it was said that their feelings were gravely hurt. But on the day, the feelings of the church security. But on the day when we did the action, apparently they didn't really pay that much attention to us because they just took us out and that's it.
Вообще достаточно странно ожидать посадку за ненасильственную акцию.
And well, at that time, for us, it seemed a little awkward to be jailed and to expect to be jailed for a non-violent action.
Но в чем вы действительно правы, так это в том, что решение принимается одним человеком, и обиделся он, скорее всего, на предыдущую песню, где мы сказали, что он зассал.
But in fact, it happened that the man who makes all the decisions in Russia was really hurt by our previous song, which went by the title "Putin Pissed Himself."
That women are autonomous creatures with their own opinions, and they can get married or not, have children or not. And this blew the minds of these men. It infuriated them. Just the name Pussy Riot, they could barely bring themselves to say it. And I would like to quickly read the transcribed, it was in Russian, you'll remember this, that bearded gang, orthodoxy or death, that crew of maniacs. Okay, they interviewed one of these psychotics, and he said this: "Pussy is a devious word. It means kitten, but also the uterus. The best translation is deranged vaginas." What about Pussy Riot? And to hear Vladimir Putin's voice go up in pitch with his discomfort, he basically said, "Go ahead, you say it." And the journalist goes, "What, Pussy Riot?" And you see Putin like where he would love to have this journalist disappeared, but he can't do it. Which just is a testament to how right to the heart of a huge problem in Russia and a huge problem in America, misogyny. And as Marcel very adroitly and acutely points out, we have a huge problem. Not in this audience. We're cool. but certainly some people around us. And just my opinion, Pussy Riot members went to jail, went to prison, as much for stating the need for female emancipation and female civil rights in Russia, as much as they did for insulting the orthodoxy of Russia. I think it was the misogyny inherent in Russia that got you two jammed up as much as it was hooliganism or whatever else that you were arrested for.
They wanted to establish something like orthodox dress code for women. So that's why we came to that church with very short skirts and bright skirts. For example, by the way, they just wanted to ban high heels. And they wanted women who want to buy cigarettes
Only
ask
women.
her husband if she can do it. That's why we like irony and love, and we smiled in courts a lot, just because it's crazy to talk about the things with serious faces.
If anyone has a doubt about the definition of feminism, let me leave you with this. It means that men and women and men are of equal value. That's all you need. I don't want you to doubt for a second that this country is pro-feminist. Everywhere you look, you will see somebody that doesn't agree that I and you are of equal value.
And also you have that problems with abortion, and you crazy conservative guys always try to ban it. It's a huge problem.
It's even like, listen, we're all, I'm in the music business, and the lack of females even in the music business is absolutely appalling. And I would hope that if there's anybody, there's industry people here, there always are, that they take a really long look and just hire more women. It's simple as that.
Punk to make a really loud statement, because that was the only way we thought we could do it.
On the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, I was there in the front row getting my ass kicked, or when Bad Religion would roll through. All of these were artists that exemplified a way to play music that didn't emphasize selling records or tickets, but instead triggering reactions in people's minds. And that's what triggered my reaction and what made me want to be on a stage, and also what made me realize if I ever had the opportunity to be on that stage, I would want to do something different with that microphone than just simply further your own kind of career, but to do something to kind of continue to fly that flag of punk.
And I was with a handful of other girls in the front, moshing and having a great time because punk rock mattered. And when we started Bust Magazine, I'm not there anymore, but when we started, we were fueled by fury and injustice and just this need to tell women that they had a place to go, that they didn't have to listen to what the media was telling them, that we could be ourselves, we had a voice. And so when Nadya and Masha and Pussy Riot came out, how excited was I as a middle-aged mom to see these women continue to carry.
Hello guys.
Hi.
Thank you for coming, and it's a pleasure to be here. We are very sorry, but we will talk on Russian, and he is my husband, he will translate.
We started out as contemporary artists and as political activists, but when we wanted to make a really loud statement, and that was when President Putin wanted to become president for the third time, then we moved to punk.
And I am the humble moderator, hopefully keeping the conversation going bravely along for the time we have together. So if everyone's ready, let's bring them onto the stage. And the sentiment, punk rock changed my life, is at some point a bit generic, but it is true for many people. I am a testament to that. In my humble opinion, one of the greatest humanitarian movements of our lifetime. And so what I would like to ask you two is about the impact that punk rock music had on you and what you do in Pussy Riot and what you are doing now with your media group, Media Zona. The world heard about this. You heard about this. It has been the vision of Michael, who runs Riot Fest, to bring some members of Pussy Riot to Riot Fest. This year, he succeeded. And so today, we have Nadya and Masha from Pussy Riot. We have Tim, vocalist of Rise Against. We have Greg from Bad Religion. And a woman named Marcel from Bust Magazine.